Whoa!
This video should have come out about 2 or 3 days ago at this point. I was waiting on my partner. I was waiting on some other things to come to light. They didn't happen. My partner is currently building a nest out of God knows what, probably some tinfoil that she found underneath a car in the shining sun. Who only knows? She does live on a third world country. There's not many shiny things, so I guess you do have to keep them close to your chest whenever you do see them. We need to talk about the Vince Vaughn interview. And no, in this one, because I'm already a little bit agitated, we are going to do it without all the visual aids. We're only going to talk about, because I think by now everyone knows what he said. What he said is the reason why we don't see many raunchy R-rated comedies in theaters anymore, and I believe he did specify in theaters, is because studio execs need to save their own butts by looking at an IP. Well, the whole thing about raunchy comedy is that they're not based on an IP. And that's what made them so great. That's what made them classics, because they were fresh and new. However, Hollywood has forgotten this. Forgot it, or did they ever know it? Some of the biggest ones of all time. Todd Phillips is known for Old School. He was known for Starsky and Hutch. He's known for what else has he done? The Hangover, which became a trilogy because the first one was so successful. Because they didn't give a crap. They just said whatever was funny at the time. So you don't necessarily need an IP. However, these people are so that they feel like they're chained by the corporate media structure, which I could totally get, because we see it all the time. We see it with them just sucking the lifeblood out of Star Wars. You see them with sucking the lifeblood out of MCUs. We don't have any more stories to tell, original stories to tell. We can't even make up stuff based on existing comic books because we've decanonized stuff. And if we use that now, we look like we're shills. Like, well, you are shills, and you have been from the very beginning. We all know that shill is not necessarily the correct word, but I'm just going to use it so I don't lose my train of thought. Now, I think he's kind of wrong in this. It's not that there were. If you make a movie out of Battleship and the movie flops, which it did horrifically, it's not. Their job is still on the line, because let's be honest, it's the executives that should be on the line, because nobody wanted a movie made about a board game. It was an IP. There's a bunch of stupid people, which is what Hollywood is and has devolved into, and I believe that has a big part to do with soy intake. It also has a lot to do with fifis getting in the way of fucking everything. If I have to bleep stuff out, then I will. But I'm not holding back on this one. Well, I will be holding back until the end. All of this stuff kind of changed. The reason why we don't get raunchy comedies anymore, when they do, they're a bunch of full of homosexuals. Like, what was it, guys? I don't know, whatever that was. Something on the street. Who cares? Who knows? Jennifer Lawrence was the first person to ever show her tits in a raunchy R-rated comedy, of course. So you had to bring that one in there. I think that one actually did well, but then I don't think they know what raunchy comedy is anymore. I think now they think it's their message of sex, 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 sex. While the 40-year-old virgin was mostly based around the story of sex, it still had heart to it. And it was mostly a guy movie. It was how guys talk to each other. Guys don't talk that way to each other anymore. As long as they know that there's no security cameras and no hidden footage anywhere, and they know they can actually trust that person, you can't just bro around with folks anymore. Because they'll say that, they'll laugh to your face, they'll even join in a little bit, and then behind your back, they'll act like women and go rat you out in any way that can get you in trouble. Cancel culture is a big reason on why we don't see R-rated raunchy comedies in film anymore. Now, another thing to that, I understand you don't want to put it into the box office and spend a whole lot of money on advertising and all that kind of stuff because these things can be made for cheap. Basically, most of your production is going to the stars that you know will draw an audience. There's very little to no CGI. It's all about the writer, the director, and the stars. So I've seen people say that like streaming is the reason why we don't see these in theaters. It's like, well, yes and no, but for the reasons that I've just laid out, I don't think that's a big deal because those contracts are negotiated and they're signed, and those actors are still getting paid. So, I mean, streaming is actually more accessible than going to the movie theaters nowadays. So, I don't think that's a valid, really, argument for this because the movies are still getting made. You can still say whatever you want to a point. To a point. Another reason I've heard that is that the rise of social media. Everyone thinks they're edgy. Therefore, if everyone is edgy, nobody is edgy. I kind of disagree with this as well, even though a lot of our classic films, like, stuff like Knocked Up, stuff like Super Bad, this was all stuff that was written about people during their coming of age when you would just set things just to be edgy. But look at the bigger streamers nowadays. People like Aiden Ross, people like Sneeko, people like other name drop here. They're being idiots just to be idiots, and that garners a massive following. So I don't buy this excuse either. There's another part to the edgy thing. What is considered edgy nowadays? Because it used to be blatant sex jokes and highly descriptive sexual acts. Well, now that's being shown to kids in libraries and in public elementary schools. So it's not really edgy anymore. That might be another reason for it. Methinks. Think. Whenever you make a debauchery the norm, then those raunchy comedies that used to make us laugh because people used to have manners, people used to have parents that actually gave a fuck about their kids and tr- uh, and trained them up in the right way to be respectful to everyone in public. What you say behind the scenes, what you laugh at and giggle at behind the scenes, okay, that's something completely different. What you talk about with your buddies is not what you're talking about at the dinner table or when you go out to eat. Now all that crap is everywhere. So maybe that's another reason why they're lacking a little bit in meeting the expectation of the audience member who is shelling out cash in order to see the movie. However, we have Vince Vaughn in a recent interview with Hot Ones, and he does say that he doesn't think that trend's going to last very much longer. I love the base take that he gave. I love that he put some thought into it. He seems like a very likable guy. He plays himself on the screen, and personally, I love basically every movie he's been in because I love that personality trait. But he seems very genuine, and he seems like he's actually put thought into this. I agree with him. I just don't think that we're going to see that trend come back anytime soon, at least not in an expansive way. But I know there's so much more that we could talk about. This is literally a discussion bait topic. I wanted to have a discussion with someone. However, nobody seemed to be available. So I just want to get this out there. So let's have a discussion in the comments or on our Discord, which will be in the chat. Um, Golly, there's just so many reasons why the raunchy R comedies are not being made very much anymore. I'd love to hear your take. I would love to debate, have a pal conversation with you. We could crack a few beers together. Whether or not we agree or disagree, that's what this shit is all about. And that's why we love cinema, and that's why we love entertainment and pop culture, because you can have discussions about how things affected you and how you feel about them. And at the end of the day, we bro hug it out, and boom, bang, boom. This is Malty from the GTA. I appreciate you. Y'all take care.